So it's been a bit of a while since you've last seen me, and that wasn't by design, trust me. I just kinda forgot that I was meant to be doing this. You know, graphic design is my passion. But I'm back now, mainly because there was a big enough drama to draw my attention, and one that I actually cared about that wasn't just completely depressing. Welcome to version 5, I think this is, of the internet's clowning on Dream again. As you can see, I am sans blue jacket today. That's not because I didn't want to go through the effort of putting it on to record a video. No, I'm actually doing it in solidarity with my little buddy. My screwdriver broke. If you want to see me review this, by the way, bit of a plug here. Check it out on the main channel. It's probably the most well-received video I've done in a long time, which is annoying because it's not a Minecraft video. It's on my Minecraft channel. But yeah, it broke. The wires inside, they've come unsoldered, and so now it only flashes green, and very barely. It doesn't allow you to put it into the other modes. It just resets, and if you pull it down for blue, nothing. I've got nothing. It's completely broken. And do you want to know how it broke? I didn't drop it by doing that, in case you were curious. I'm quite good at flipping my screwdrivers. It fell off my desk and hit the floor, which is a distance of about that. And one of the wires came fucking disconnected, and I don't know how to solder anything. So it's broken, and in solidarity, I'm not wearing my blue shirt. Totally why I'm doing it. Again, just stress. I wasn't just being lazy and didn't want to put it on. Promise. But yeah, enough of the yapping, because if I keep doing that, then people aren't going to pay attention to me anymore, because most of you are probably only here because you give a shit about my opinion on the Dream and TommyInnit drama, which, you know, to say that you've probably never seen me before, you really have fulfilling lives, don't you? But just as usual, to catch you all up on how this started, if perhaps for some reason you don't know what's going on, it's, well, basically, people were having a bit of a disagreement. You see, there's this loser, this little loser, that 3'8" tall, I think. His name's Miz Kiff. I promise that was a slip of the tongue. His name's Miz Kiff, right? And the reason this all started is because this little 2'1" gremlin of a man doesn't know what body language means. I'm not kidding. That's how this all started. TommyInnit and Miz Kiff met on a street. Tommy said, "You alright? You know, are you alright? How you doing? Are you good?" And Miz Kiff went, "You what, bro? You starting on me?" Because he's an American, and they're stupid. They had a whole exchange on Twitter in which, personally, not even as someone that particularly cares for TommyInnit anymore, but certainly doesn't care for Miz Kiff, I'd say he won that argument, mainly just because, I mean, it's like winning a debate against a gourd. If you lose, I mean, you've lost to a vegetable. But yeah, and after TommyInnit did his little beef with Miz Kiff, this other little gremlin, he's not as small, he's not like 1-1 Miz Kiff, he's... Actually, I have no idea how tall XQC is, hang on. Yeah. My keyboard's down here! Oh, piss off, 1.8 meters. What the f*** is 1.8 meters? Who the f*** measures themselves in meters? He's 6 what? Me, he's 6'1"? Christ. All that height and he's wasting it sitting in a desk chair all day. Little 6'1" XQC decides to pipe up and call them both kind of losers, really, for having this beef to begin with, saying it's immature and whatnot, right? Which, in all fairness, it was. But I have to point out that this didn't start because anyone wanted to start beef. It started because Miz Kiff is like a 0.5 tall little troll of a man that doesn't seem to understand that you can just not like someone and not have to turn it into internet clout. He made his own reply, actually, which, to tell you the truth, I've not seen, and I think I've just come up with the best idea for content ever. I'm going to watch it right now to see if he actually says anything of importance. Let's check this out. I'm going to grab my headphones. All right, let's see what he's going to say.
When I was talking to TommyInnit, he was probably one of the most insufferable people that I've ever talked to in my life. When I was sitting there waiting for Masayoshi to pop up, TommyInnit is just standing there like a complete prick. and looking like such a jackass.
Okay, well, first off, right out of the gate, standing there like I get that he's a little riled up because again, 0.50 whatever clink toe feet tall Mizkif, right? Is capitalizing on the fact that his name's finally relevant again for a reason other than covering up a certain bad thing that he probably should have covered up. If you want people to actually take your side in this, don't say that he was just standing there like a complete... It takes all of the validity out of your point when you're attacking him ad hominem for standing in a way that you don't like. It makes you look petty and a little bit pathetic. I'm gonna be very honest. Let's keep going. I can't keep pausing on in the first 17 seconds. My God.
I'm trying to just sit there and wait for Masayoshi. I say hello to him, and he gives me the rudest stare you could ever imagine. I'm like, what is your problem? What the hell did I do to you, you stupid British fuck? So we're just standing there, and I'm like, how you doing? I'm just trying to make small talk with the guy.
Okay, I know he's being a little bit what's the word? Reactionist, right? But he gives you a rude look. He gives you a proper mean British look. Something like that. And your response is to call him what? You stupid British f***. You're a very conversationalist, aren't you?
Because the guy's acting like such a jackass, looking at me like I did something wrong to him. It's like, newsflash, bro. Schlatt still messages me, okay? Put your little TommyInnit button up away. Little ass. So I'm looking at this kid. I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you right now, but I might as well make small talk because we're both just clearly standing here and I don't like you. What's up? And I said some shit. I'm like, how you doing or something? And he gives me the rudest stare back. And I'm like, I hate this kid, but no one's around this poor little fellow at TwitchCon, and he probably lost his mom. So I'm just going to sit here and talk to the kid until Dr. Disrespect shows up and probably gives him a kiss on the cheek. So I'm like, Tommy, how you doing? Like, you know, are you doing well? Like, is things going well? Oh, your friend got canceled? Coincidence. So did mine. We both have friends that got canceled. Very interesting stuff. And he's giving me such rude attitude the entire...
Okay. So you're trying to make small talk with him because he's looking at you with a mean look. You're putting out the energy here that you really didn't want to talk to him, but because he gave you a mean look, you decided to. Okay. So you don't want to talk to him, and yet you spoke first. You engaged him first. You said at the very start that he only gave you the mean look after you said hello. So what is it? Did before you actually came online to share your side of the story, did you down half a bottle of cognac or something? I thought I was bad at keeping time. Wait, so you start speaking because you don't like... Are you... that's a dumb question. Of course you is. I like how he tries belittling Tommy and making him out to be a baby, despite the fact that Tommy is 10 years younger than him. At 20 years old, by the way, this man is 30, and this is the level at which he can comprehend a conversation. But as I just said, despite being 10 years younger, he has handled this in the most emotionally mature way possible. It's clear that little Mizkif here, little so small you can scan him with an electron microscope Mizkif. This bit's gotta stop. He's the one that's... he's the one that's reacting and exploding at this. I've got to stop going on tangents, not just because the size thing is getting, like, not funny anymore, but also because I forget what I'm saying. I don't know if anyone else has an issue with this. I'll go on a tangent and my mind will just throw out what I was actually talking about. So by the end of my tangent, I can't worm it back into the point like I try to. It's... whatever. But even with that issue, I feel like, honestly, I probably still held a more put together and cohesive argument than itty bitty baby Mizkif ever could. Okay, that's enough. I won't do it anymore. Let's go to Tommy's side, because Tommy was the one that technically started this beef. Let's have a look at what you said. Yeah, just very quickly.
And have a fun 6 hours, and you went, I thought it was 20 minutes. I did think you were a moron. You're going from the east to the west coast. I mean, come on, it's going to take at least a few hours.
I was shocked as And then, because you'd been there for already best part of a day at this point.
At TwitchCon, yeah. I got there for about a day.
We get there, they're having the MCC party, and I roll up, I dump all my bags in my room, and I'm miserable and I'm so hungry.
You forced me and Harry to leave the party to come pick you up from the hotel.
Yeah, because I'm stood outside the hotel and little weaselly Mizkiff rolls on over to me.
Weaselly.
Yeah, he's like, and I'm like, shut up, Mizkiff. And he goes, and I'm dead inside. And he looks at me, and I go, this is what I say to him. I go, you're right. And he goes, what do you mean, am I all right? And he takes it as an insult because Americans are stupid. And he goes, are you all right? And he's like, what do you mean, am I all right? And he starts getting tense with me, and I'm like, are you all right? And he's like, what do you mean, am I all right? And I was like, how you doing? He's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm fine. Why don't you just say that? And I was like, so hungry. The little stupid Mizkiffs down here looking up at me. I'm getting so annoyed. and then he starts going, you look really dead inside. You look really dead inside. And I'm like, thanks, Mizkiff.
That's the thing to say to someone who looks dead inside.
So I ring up Jack and Harry, and I stand like this, and I like look this way. God bless his soul, Mizkiff, socially inept, just stands there, refuses to leave me alone, next to me. And I linger on the phone. I'm like, Harry, can you? I start getting done. I'm like, Harry and Jack, can you hurry the fuck up? Because I just can't bear to stand next to Mizkiff any longer. And I'm like shouting at you, can you hurry up? And then I hang up the phone, and he starts going, yeah, you look dead inside again. I'm like, you're a little prick. I'm getting so irritated. And then finally, you and Jack roll up, and I'm like, bye, mate. And I've never seen him again. And I never will see him again because I'm not going to TwitchCon again.
Oh, is that it
Out
for
of
you?
anger that could happen again.
Just out of the fact you may ever see Mizkiff.
Okay, you know what? Oh, my hands up, I'll acknowledge it. He did start off just by calling him a twat out of the blue. But you can tell through both of their tones that Mizkiff wanted to bite Tom's throat out for this. Tom threw it out casually and jovially. Maybe it's just my British bias kicking in, but it's very clear that Mizkiff took this little twat comment a little harsher than it was intended, because it's taking man, come on. He even admits it's technically an unfounded hatred. There's nothing valid that he hates him for, he just doesn't like it, which in my opinion there's a lot of valid things to hate Mizkiff for. Again, that thing that he covered up that he probably shouldn't. But he even admits that it's just a baseless dislike, which is probably the most mature thing you can do if you don't like someone. Just say, look, I've got no reason to dislike you, but I just think you're a bit of a knob, so I don't like talking to you. Right? It's that simple. Okay, so again, kind of like Mizkiff did, he's just saying, like, for no reason, he hates everything that Mizkiff did while he was standing there, which is fair. But in this version of the story, obviously a lot more coherent than Mizkiff, she can actually kind of put it together, he wasn't planning on saying any of that to Mizkiff. He was just planning on existing near him. That's the small clip that set him off. I don't think I've seen something more pathetic in my life, to be honest. And to be honest, looking at them, presentations aside, I can understand that it is just a case of social ineptitude, you know? Tom just wanted to go for a casual, you're right? Expecting Mizkiff to go, yeah? And then they do nothing and sit on their phones. Whereas Mizkiff took that as, you all right? Yeah? And then continued to ask questions every time Tom was just like, yeah, yeah. Which, in case you don't know, I thought it was the universal sign, but apparently not. It is the British sign for will you shut up, you f***ing twat, and leave me alone. And I don't think he got that. But either way, when XQC jumped in and dogged on him as he did, Tommy then countered with this photo of XQC, the iron-deficient giant, shaking hands with America's next dictator. Which he clapped back at and said, oh, I've gone from streaming in my basement to shaking hands with the president. All you are known for is your lack of intelligence and sitting in this tiny, tiny box at the corner of a screen, reacting to content that isn't your own. I don't think I've ever actually seen any of your original content, except for this screen cap, in which you look like a complete asshole. You guys are in for an interesting next 4 years. But Tommy didn't fire back at this. I don't think he even got the chance, because then Dream dropped this. And it's certainly a choice that he himself, after the intense backlash that this received, tried to walk back by claiming it was just a meme he'd found, when people were able to reverse image search it and find that it never existed on the internet before Tree posted this. Meaning he made it, which is just icing on the cake. I'm unconsciously clapping for how genuinely stupid that is. It's so impressive, in fact, that despite then going on to apologize, in which the tone was so blasé and careless that even some of Dream's own stands were just a bit like, alright mate, this kind of doesn't feel like you're being very caring about this situation. It almost feels like you're just trying to get it over and done with, despite the fact that you called 15 million people a slur. Which is a wild thing to say, and to be honest, I wouldn't even consider that a brag. It's very easy. No one was talking about you until you did this. What was the point? Honestly, I have to say, the only take I have heard about why he would bother with this that has made any sort of sense to me since this all happened, I think it comes from Jack Manifold, when he said that he honestly believes that Dream has dropped this to promote something new that's coming out. Because I don't think he's actually made content in a long time. I don't remember the last time I ever saw him upload. Nevertheless, watched one of his videos. But it's the only reasonable explanation as to why he would willingly drop himself into hot water this obviously and easily and stupidly beyond the only other explanation, which is that he is just an idiot. But let's read his apology, just so you know that I'm not talking out my arse about that tone, shall we? I think this is the first time I've ever been to Dream's subreddit. I genuinely don't think I've seen a more condensed population of people that need to be institutionalized. I also can't find the apology. Seriously, where the f*** is it? You don't half make this hard to find. Say he's trying to apologise, you think it'd be pinned. Where are you, dickhead? Oh, he isn't half chatting. Seriously, man, where the f*** have you put... Has he just deleted... He has to have deleted it. Fucking hell, mate. I'm just gonna search Twitter. Here we go. Finally. F***ing hell, right. Yeah, it is. He deleted it. What a slimy little prick. Genuinely still confused on what the rules are. Honestly, not trying to be obtuse. We'll get to that in a second. Multiple people go viral calling me the R word, and everyone explains that it's okay because they're neurodivergent. So then I see a meme that uses it and post it, and I get absolutely throttled for it. You made it yourself. You lying little c***. Obviously, it's the internet being disingenuous, but that doesn't completely invalidate anyone that might be upset by it. Most of the people calling me ableist for using it are the same people that lit off fireworks when Nicholas Cantu was the slur-slinging slasher, including Tommy's closest friends. It's either okay or it's not okay. Alright, iDubbbz, calm down. The double standards are infuriating. I have my own reasons for having a problem with Tommy going around being the internet police, and was expecting to get a lot of shit for going after poor Tommy that lies about me constantly, but obviously I had no intentions at attacking every Dream SMP fan, or being ableist Lamau. You called 15 million people a slur. I had no intentions of being ableist, guys. Guys, it's all peace and love, guys. Shut up and sit on a plank. It was a dig at Tommy fans, who in your eyes are apparently... Because somehow, the worst of the extreme SMP stands have congregated all to make up lies and shit on other creators. And Tommy feeds right into it to promote his Patreon, shows, book, or whatever else he's currently promoting, because he has absolutely no backbone. Either way, my lesson from this is that Twitter is somehow even less reasonable than I thought in the first place. Oh, and don't use the R word under any circumstance, even if you see a funny meme and you're autistic. Lesson learned, hopefully I can be forgiven. Back to coding. At no point during any of this does he actually say sorry, which I think by definition, you're required to say sorry for an apology. I think that's... Okay. Right, well, dissecting this from top to bottom, first thing, you lied, you made the meme yourself, right? Still confused on what the rules are? Well, maybe don't use something that a lot of people call a slur if you're not entirely clear on if it's a slur or not. Not trying to be obtuse. Yes, you are. In fact, it's your entire strategy to defend yourself. You called Tubbo for 3 hours to try and clear your name. And every single time that you were faced with a point that you genuinely couldn't answer without twisting it in a way that made you look good, you would resort to one of 3 strategies. I'm confused, I'm lost, I don't know what's happening, I don't get it, or actually you're misremembering that. If you want the whole context on that stream, by the way, I will say give it a watch if you really care about this. Personally, I struggle to watch sort of things like that. Whenever cringe comes on my screen, I tend to take my headphones off and just stop watching for a little while until it's over and done with, because it's physically painful to see. But if you really care about this, go watch that 3-hour live stream. It's up, it's raw, nothing's cut out, and you can see all of these little manipulative tactics in live action. But yes, you are trying to be obtuse, because you get out by being obtuse. It's your whole strategy. And you can't lampshade it by saying that that's not what you're trying to do. If you've got eyes, you can see that's what you're trying to do. Multiple people go viral calling you the R word. Yeah, they go viral calling it you. Going viral isn't always a good thing. It just means that the post lights up. And the main reason they're doing that is probably specifically because they're attacking you. Not because they're using that word specifically. Most people probably don't endorse it. They just love seeing you get clowned on. Because you're a dick. And everyone explains it that it's okay because they're neurodivergent. And I think he's going into the realm of trying to reclaim slurs here. Which, I mean, you can do. It is a thing. Personally, I've reclaimed the word f***. I use it all the time. Because I am one. And because, unlike some people, I don't have, like, issues saying it. I mean, Tubbo, in one of these live streams, I don't remember which, he made like 2. He said himself, he likes to use that word. He doesn't use the full word because he's not comfortable with that, but he still uses the small word. That's an example of reclaiming it. He also goes on to say, like I agree with, that it's not reclaiming if you use it as an insult. To reclaim a slur, you have to use it in a way that's not using it as a slur. I can self-identify as a faggot. I can call myself a faggot. I can call my friends faggots because they're my friends and they're okay with that and they know that there's no malice behind it. You don't go up to someone, despite being gay, and you introduce yourself by going, "What's up, you f-?" No, you don't say that. That's not reclaiming it. That's just using it as the slur. It's the same rules here. 5 minutes of research. All I took to understand that. 5 minutes. We've already covered the using the meme thing. You made it yourself. Obviously, it's the internet being disingenuous. No, this is just you using intentional stupidity to try and absolve yourself of consequences. But that doesn't completely invalidate anyone that might be upset by it. Okay? Say sorry. 5-letter word. S-O-R-R-Y. Sorry. Ooh, don't get spooked by the sorry ghost. Ooh. Most of the people calling you ableist for using it are the same people that lit off fireworks when Nicholas Cantu was using it against you. That's just not true. And even if it was true, because I don't want to look for proof, I don't want to do statistics, let's assume that this is true, right? What about the percent of people that are calling you ableist because you used it? What about the percent of people that called you ableist for using it, as well as Nicholas Cantu? There's this little thing called nuance that exists in the world. You can be a fan of the way that he chatted to you, but condemn him for his use of language. Honestly, in my opinion, yeah, it's not great, but I'd give him a pass there. I'm not going to give you a pass, because unlike Nicholas Cantu, who's done nothing but bring joy to children as Gumball, as far as the public's aware, because he doesn't spend all of his living hours on the internet, you're a twat, and you've had a consistent record of being a twat. So people are less likely to give you the benefit of the doubt, to let you get away with these small things that perhaps you shouldn't be. I have my own reasons for having a problem with Tommy that lie with him going around being the internet police. He's not going around being the internet police. He's going around and calling out all of the treatment that you and your friends and the immediate circle around MCYT in the past 4 years treat him as a 16-year-old. A child. Just because there's so much to be called out doesn't mean that he's being the internet police. Or rather, even if he was, considering what he's calling out, I wouldn't even say it's a bad thing. Yeah, there's no official internet police, but if no one else is going to hold these to the standard they should be, I think the person who was the victim of all of this happening is the most qualified to say, you know what? That's not on. He doesn't lie about you constantly. You just don't want your fans to think anything he said actually holds any weight. Every accusation is a confession. It's a phrase I've heard a lot recently, and it's one I've come to quite agree with. Think about it. How many people do you know that go out of their way to be extremely vocal against something? You know, assault, or murder, or molestation. They're so outspoken about it, and then 5 years later, turns out they did it themselves. It is the most blatant cover act you could possibly find these days. And I'm not saying everyone that's putting their hearts and minds into calling out this kind of terrible behaviour is bound to be found out 5 years later. But everyone that was bound to be found out 5 years later was probably over in that camp at some point. You had no intentions of attacking every Dream SMP fan or being ableist. Then why would you call 50 million people who used to be part of your community, who might have still had decent impressions of you despite the fact that no one should, a slur? Out of nowhere. Unprompted. I think that's one of the biggest baffling things that came out of this situation. The steel chair you tried to hit him in the back of the head with wasn't even necessary. You weren't in this match of WWE. You were in the audience. You weren't even a guest. You weren't even invited. You bought a ticket to the guest audience. You showed up. You decided, this isn't enough. I'm not seeing enough bloodshed. Let me grab this chair and dive in from the top rope. Except instead of hitting him with the chair, you landed on your face and the chair fell on you. Talk about a tangent. I at least remember my point that time. It was a dig at TommyInnit fans because somehow the worst of the Extreme SMP stands have congregated all to make up lies and shit on other creators, and Tommy feeds right into it. Okay, have you ever considered the only reason you think everyone in Tommy's community is the worst of the Dream SMP is because it largely in part, right? You and Tommy are the only two creators really left that have larger than most fan bases, right? There are still obviously a lot of creators from the Dream SMP that are still around, but you two have the biggest. And have you ever considered that maybe all the times that you've been a prick have sort of shaken out the normal people from your community, the people that still care about the DSMP, and they've decided, you know what, let's go to the only other big creator left that still actively talks about and has ties to the Dream SMP. Just a theory there, might be wrong, but if I had to look at it from my lens, which I have to because I'm the only one that can look through my lens and no one else can, which is a bit of a weird phrase now that I say it out loud, but that's just how it might seem to me, right? That's how it does seem to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Hang on. No, I need to calm myself. I'm turning into Mizkif. I'm losing my ability to talk. What? No, it's not just my ability to talk. No, hang on, I'm getting smaller. No. Right, that's the last one, I promise. I didn't even have my energy drink before this, by the way. Completely empty. Nothing in it. I'm just riffing off the dome here. This is great. And yeah, of course, Tommy feeds right into it to promote his Patreon, right? Whenever you're a c***, it brings up the Dream SMP. Mainly because you named it after yourself. And when the Dream SMP is brought up, everyone else that was part of the Dream SMP tends to also get brought up too. And if I was Tommy, trying to distance myself from the cunt that has annoyed me for 4 years, and every time he opened his gob, I had an influx of people that have more developed follow accounts than brains flooded over into my stuff again to give me nothing but grief, I'd promote my shit too. Why wouldn't I? You've sent me an influx of annoying little assholes. The least I can do is maybe earn a few bucks off of them, to use your yank terms. Because they're not going to stick around for anything else. They're not going to decide to change their mind. The only people that are still following you are the ones so utterly brainwashed by your rhetoric, or are too stupid to understand your rhetoric, that they can't engage with the wider internet. They have been locked into your community. Not by you. You haven't gone around with a chain to keep them to you. No, you've been smarter than that. You've developed a community too stupid to realize that you're an asshole. Do you know how low IQ you have to be to not understand when someone is an asshole? It's something that you can pick up on vibes alone. Speech patterns, mannerisms, behavior, repeated behavior. Bring it back down. Don't want to get too excited. Don't want to get too excited. Don't want to get me blood pumping. We are getting faster. Otherwise I'll have another heart attack. And for the record, it's not because he has no backbone. It's because he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't need a backbone. He doesn't need to stand up to your little gremlin, crotch goblin, brainwashed little freaks of nature. Because they're never gonna raise a valid enough criticism to have to be like, you know what? I'm standing up for myself here. Because they can barely spell. Either way, my lesson from this is that Twitter is somehow even less reasonable than I thought in the first place. No. Your lesson from this is that there is a limit to the shit you can get away with, and people are getting tired of you. Oh, and don't use the R word under any circumstance, even if you see it in a funny meme and you're autistic. That is the line that pisses me off the most, because it is so unapologetic and woe is me, I'm the victim. It screams it. The words emanate the vibe itself. I can feel the vitriol and self-pity that he was feeling when he wrote that. It comes through in the text. Lesson learned, hopefully I can be forgiven. Back to coding. Brilliant apology. I'm left thinking that you don't give a shit about the fact that this has gone down at all. You never once even said sorry. It is ridiculous. But yeah, after all this went up, most people went through this apology and picked it apart the way I did. Better, in fact, because they actually knew him. There are only two ways you can really dissect this to the fullest extent that it deserves. Either you knew him as a person, or you care about him in some way, even if it's out of hatred. And I am neither of these. I never knew him, and I have never cared about him once. In fact, my closest tie to the Dream SMP in general is when I met Tommy at college one day. That's it. That's my claim to fame with the Dream SMP. Me and Tommy used to go to the same college. In fact, we didn't even go at the same time. He was in college while I was in university, but his college campus was owned by the university I went to. So we shared the same secondary location. And I remember one day I was walking out with my camera equipment with my group, and we walked past him while he's on his shoot. And specifically, I'm walking along and I leave, and then I'm just like, hang on, who the f***? And I lean back to look at him, and I feel in hindsight I was a little bit creepy with this. But I looked back at him, I saw him, and I just stared, trying to figure out, is that him or not? Because I didn't have my glasses at the time, I couldn't see. And he turns to me and he goes, and I go, and then I walk off. And that is the fullest extent to any interaction I've had with these guys. That's it. I wish I'd have shared some words with him or asked him for a picture, but it's always a little awkward to do that. Plus, I'm in the middle of my uni course. Plus, he's in the middle of his college course. And I mean, you were like 16 at the time. I think I was like 18, 19, I don't know. It's not too big of a difference, but personally, I'd have just felt a little immature, I guess, going up to a 16-year-old and being like, yeah, can I have a photo? Can I have your autograph? Because, I mean, there's also that extra layer. I was trying to be a YouTuber at the exact same time, and I'd been trying for about 6 years at that point, and he'd done what I'd been trying to do for 6 years in about 3 months, and I think I would have just felt nothing but shame and embarrassment at that if I had to go up to TommyInnit when he was 16 and say, hey up mate, you've achieved me life dreams in about a year. I've been trying for 6. Can I have your autograph, please? I really enjoy your live streams. But yeah. No, but that's the drama that's been going on, basically. They had a bit of a row about it, right? Obviously, like I kept mentioning, there have been developments since then with 3-hour-long live streams, mostly on Tubbo's end of things. But the one last bit of this I want to cover, because this is the last real interaction between Dream and Tommy that we've seen before the wider MCYT community sort of descended and began to pick it apart themselves, because, I mean, they was just a moment, a shared moment where all of their neurons fired and they realized, holy shit, this is a gold mine for content. But and that's the video Tommy put out, just called Dream, I believe, and I'm just gonna watch that now. I'm glad he's finally brought this up, because he's absolutely right in every regard, and I'm surprised it's not been said sooner. Because, honestly, aside from kicking it up a notch occasionally whenever they needed to do roleplay moments, Dream basically did calls for that server. In fact, in the beginning, he was actively against it turning into what he wanted it to be. He made steps to keep it a normal Minecraft server with nothing interesting happening on it. His explosion in popularity wouldn't have happened without it. I mean, he would have been fine with his manhunts until it was revealed that they were staged. He would have been fine with his speedrunning until it was revealed that they were cheated. But he never would have gotten anywhere with the Dream SMP without Tommy. Because if it wasn't for Tommy, there wouldn't be a Dream SMP at all. Like he says, he put his blood, sweat, and his tears into that server. Not to mention, while he was at school, getting a degree. And I know he was getting a degree because it was the same degree that I got. 90% sure. Could have been a photography degree. I'm not quite sure. But not only that, he never even paid for his own server. It was Bad Boy Halo, if you remember him, that actually funded the server. I think by definition, the only thing Dream contributed to the server in the beginning was his name. And that's about it. And I don't mean in the sense of he brought his name so his fans would come along. I mean, he named it the Dream SMP. And that's about it. But yeah, I've already seen this video from Tommy. There's nothing more I can say about it, really, because I don't know all of the things that he's talking about, like with that George thing. I have the briefest framework of what I know went on. I know he was incredibly sexist and pushy, and he kept apologizing for sexual harassment while drunk, claiming it wasn't a guy's fault if he did it. Also, he's a Trump supporter, which, I mean, that is horrendous. I cannot make that joke. That's getting cut out. You're not getting context for that joke, but it is getting cut out. But Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, and Dream harassed his mother over phone by stealing her phone number when it got leaked, and then calling up Tommy's mother when Tommy decided to actually start fighting back against Dream. And as Tommy mentions in this video, if they didn't have a closer relationship, that could have really seriously damaged the relationship that Tommy has with his mother. Thankfully, it didn't, and thankfully they do have a good relationship together. It just goes to show how immature he is, and how immature he thinks they are. Because again, go watch the 3-hour live stream from Tubbo. Consistently, his tone in that video is nothing but condescension and babying. He treats Tubbo like Tubbo is a child for nearly the entire thing, to an infuriating degree. And it's the same thing here. It's like when your school phones home when you've been bad as a child at school, except he wasn't at school. He was speaking out against the horrible treatment that he'd been dealt as a child by this man. And this man has decided to try and tattle to his mother and spread what Tommy himself implies, I can only guess, really nasty and horrible lies. Because that is the tone he uses. And while I can't confirm that because he doesn't say what was in those messages, which I think he should release, given how Dream's apparently taken to releasing evidence, which is actually so fake that he stole one of Tubbo's invoices and said it was Tommy's for an entirely different thing to try and make the point that Tommy hires child laborers. I think the context of those text messages, you might want to bring them out. But yeah, I've got nothing more to say on the issue. That's what you've been missing out on Twitter, and I think I'm going to go back to Twitter just for one final look, see if there's anything funny I can steal from my timeline to cap this video off with. Let's have a look. But yeah, just jokes, guys. Just peace and love. No harm meant by it. Just jokes. I'm just pointing out some jokes, you guys. Oh, peace and love. And with that, you can piss off and love me. That's it from me. In case I don't see you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night. See you in the next one. Love you.